Okay, so you are working on your final poetry project. So all of the elements that we have just learned throughout this unit, including rhyme and repetition, point of view, personification, assonance, consonants, meter, all of those elements are now things that you're going to choose from to include in your poem. You can have anywhere. Let's take a look at the final rubric. So the rubric says, for stanzas, you need to have, I mean, if you want, it just depends on the grade that you want. So if you want 2 or less stanzas, that'll be a 1. If you want 3 or more stanzas, that'll be a complete 2 points. So elements is 2 or less elements, you're going to get a 1. 3 or more, you're going to get a 2. So it really depends on what you want to include. So you really want to include at least 1 and up to 3 elements to get, depending on what grade you want to get. Okay, so that's what you're going to be looking at to work from to decide what you want your poem to look like, what you want to include in your poem for your final grade. So that really is up to you. The final poetry project looks just like this. Oh, you're going to be dropping it into this file, so we'll go back to here really quick. Rough draft poem, so if you want to write it on a rough draft first and then you can go back and rewrite it, that is totally fine. So you're going to give it a title. And then you're going to have anywhere from 1 to 4 stanzas for your poem. And then on the second page, you're going to give a theme. So the theme is, what is the message? After I've read your poem, there is a message that you want to convey to me about what you believe about something. So what is the message you're trying to get your readers to learn from your story? Okay, elements are in the poem are the ones that we talked about. So that's personification, assonance, consonants, all those different elements that we've talked about throughout this unit. So you can have up to 6. You need to have at least 1 to 2. That's kind of like the bare minimum for getting a decent grade. So that's kind of what we're looking at here now. I'm going to give you an example of one that's been done in the past so you can kind of see what it's supposed to look like. So here's one by a student called The Oak Tree. I'll read it to you and then I'll share the elements that the student did. So you can see that she has her 4 stanzas here, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then she's put her theme down at the bottom here. And on the back, she's written out what her elements are. Now, because this is going to be online, you can just put it all in the same spot. Okay, so the oak tree is her title. It says, the oak, a mighty tree indeed. Feel the hardness of one little seed. A home for creatures big and small with all different features. The leaves, soft as pillows. The heart as hard as armor. A want for all willows. The feel of the miracle that is life. Through the roots by the oak, the wind sounds like a fife. Okay, so she obviously, and then let's, her theme is oak trees are important to nature and they provide shelter and beauty. So that is the theme that we can take, the lesson we can take away from the poem, from the word choice, from her elements. We can see that this poem conveys that message. So that's what you want to do for the theme. And then her elements here, she had repetition. So repetition was an example of like the oak, or a home, the leaves, the feel. Those are all repetition. Then we have rhyme. So she has the oak, a mighty tree indeed. Feel the hardness of one little seed. So indeed and seed are the rhyming. Then we have meter. So that's the oak, a mighty tree indeed. Feel the hardness of one little seed. So it's kind of like it has a beat to it, almost like a song. And then point of view. This is the point. Her point of view is about how she feels about an oak tree. So obviously, it's her message is that oak trees are important to nature and they provide shelter and beauty. We can see that in what she says, like a home for creatures big and small with all different features. So it provides a home. So that's important. We can see that in her poem. Her point of view is that oak trees are important. Stanzas, she has 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. They kind of act like paragraphs in the poem. And then the theme, she included that at the bottom. So this is just one example of how you can use some of these elements we've learned and put them into a poem. So that's essentially what you're going to be doing. If you struggle with the elements, the ones to focus on are meter, so having that beat. You could use personification, which is that human-like quality to a non-human object. using lyric verse, so kind of conveying your feelings about an object, which is what she did here. She had lyric verse. She was explaining how she felt about oak trees. So those are ones that you could focus on to really help you. So that's what you're going to be focusing on for your final poem.